Well, this is the real design flaw, the big design flaw that the SOG Reactor has that I wish wasn't there. And I'm afraid perhaps also this guy right here, the power play, may have the same issue. And as I address this one, I think you'll understand what it is. Hey guys, welcome back and thanks for tuning in to my review of the SOG Reactor multi-tool. We've got a lot to talk about in this video and I'm excited to get to it. I was very excited when I first saw it at SHOT Show 2016. Is all that excitement still here after having gotten it in hand? Thank you, SOG, by the way, for sending this to me. Well, we'll find out if all that excitement is still there or not. And we're going to compare it to some other tools and just lots of fun. Lots of fun. Stick around for the whole thing if you possibly can. First, let's jump into a comparison, because I know a lot of you guys are really interested to see how the SOG Reactor stacks up against the Leatherman Skeletool. And they are very much in the same range and category as far as usefulness, as far as the tools are concerned, what they offer, and price. Now this is a Skeletool CX. This runs about 20 bucks, 30 bucks more than the regular Skeletool. The standard one is about 50, so we're going to pretend this is the standard one. And the Reactor runs about 50 bucks. So again, really close. The Reactor is a bit lighter. We will mention that. The Reactor comes in at 3.8 ounces, Skeletool about 5 ounces. Is that good weight? In my opinion, yes. Skeletool is built very well. Let's go to what else does it come with? Blade. Obviously, you'd have a blade on the Skeletool. We're pretty familiar with that. If you guys have seen the Skeletool, and a lot of you guys curious about it have. Really well incorporated, so organic looking, really cool, right? I like the blade on the Skeletool very much. The blade on the SOG Reactor is right here. It is spring assisted and it does have a lock. We're going to talk more about the lock in a little bit. Lock, you push it up, that locks it, push it down, unlocks it. There's a little diagram showing you, and it's spring assisted, so you give it a little pressure right there and it flies out. And the blade steel is, what is it? I don't know. I don't have that information. I would guess OS 8 because they use that pretty commonly, but could not be. Could not be. It does have a bottle opener on it right there. You just kind of lift the cap like so. This also has a bottle opener on it right there. So far, it is kind of sixes for features. You've got a bit driver right here. Right? A sort of a large flathead and smaller flathead, and then you got embedded in the handle right there, you've got your Phillips head, your large Phillips head, and your smaller Phillips head ready to swap out for that flathead. So what does this have by way of drivers? It's got the Phillips head and the flathead. So it does not have two of each like the Skeletool does. So there's a difference right there. And also, the big huge difference about the drivers is this. With the Skeletool, sorry, that was the blade, you open it up, you're ready to drive. Okay, and it's stuck right there and that's where it stays. And you open it or you remove that drive or that bit like so by pressing down on this, that pulls it out. And the difference between that and the Reactor is this little arm right here is not made for actually driving. You don't drive anything that way. This little pin right here retains, but that's all that does. This whole arm, all it does is retain the bit. If you want to drive it, what you actually need to do is place it here in this little magnetic holder that's kind of engineered into the plier head or the butt end of the plier head, and that is how you do your driving. So that is really cool. You've got more to hold on to, right? And we're going to talk more about this in a minute, but you've got more to hold on to, and that gives you, hopefully, better power as you're driving. What does it actually? We'll discuss that shortly, and I'm going to show you some footage of it in use, working on some household appliances, actually. So we showed you all the features of it. A couple more features on it. The pliers, I didn't really talk about that actually. They both have pliers actually. You guys know that. You can tell that. There's the pliers on the Skeletool. The Sog Pliers actually have their multi-plier sort of technology, which, because it has two sets of gears here, actually doubles the amount of force that as you're pressing down on that, it actually doubles your force, the force you give it, which is really cool. And a lot of SOG's multi-tools have that, as well as this one right here called the Power Play. Oh, it's right here. There's a Power Play. also sent to me by SOG. You'll see a video on this one in the near future, but that features the same technology as in regards to the pliers. Really cool, and I might try to create some sort of demonstration with how much force that gives in the future. I don't know, maybe, we'll see. But that's what that offers, and that's a very cool feature. And I did talk about the blade, of course, spring assisted. What else? I don't know. Pocket clip on there, nice deep carry pocket clip. Potentially a little better than the one on the Skeletool, which leaves about that much of the tool sticking out of your pocket. I haven't minded that, but it is true that the SOG Reactor will bury completely in your pocket. So if you really like that idea, there it is. Last big difference between these two tools, the SOG Reactor is made in China, while the Leatherman Skeletool is made in the USA. Obviously a win for Leatherman there. Next, we got to just kind of start covering, I guess, some of the negative stuff. I think it's time to get to it. First off, let's cover the simple stuff, the QA stuff, the stuff that can be fixed easily with just a little bit better attention to detail. The knife. It locks up, but look at the lockup. Look at that lock bar. It goes all the way over, which means as I press on this blade, it actually gives just a little bit, and I think you can even see it. It gives just a little bit, and if I were to work this knife hard, doing something or other, I would probably get that lock to fail. So that's a little bit of a QA issue I would like to see. Don't grind so much metal off of that lock bar right there, or whichever face it is that you're using to adjust and make the lock perfect. Do it a little less so that you have a better lockup, one that will break in over time, not one that's almost overbroken. So that's one issue. Next, the lock, or the safety, I should say, the safety on this. I feel like it needs to be reversed. I think down should be lock and up should be unlock. Now there's going to be some serious re-engineering on SOG's part in order to make that work, but I think that's how it needs to be, because once I get this in hand with that driver right here and start turning and start pressing to get the driving done, every time I did it, I would press that in as my hand was doing that, and I'm kind of turning it and rotating it and rotating it. Every time I was doing it, I would press and disengage that lock. Now, I never made the blade shoot out, but it's possible that something I was doing would also make the blade pop out as I was trying to turn a screw. And that's potentially dangerous. So I would like to see down be the lock position, up be the unlock position. Once again, lots of re-engineering to make that happen, but that's what I would like to see. One more QA issue that I fixed on my own, not a big deal. This little retaining pin that presses down and engages with this little divot on either side of the bit. That right there was a little loose for me out of the package. So if that were a little bit tighter, they just focus on QA there, guys. Make sure that that is nice and tight so that as you press that in, it actually retains, because I was able to actually get that to shake out, just shake out into my hand before. I just kind of pressed that in, use a tool, and kind of bent it just a slight amount and got it to engage properly. Next on the list is, well, this is the real design flaw, the big design flaw that the SOG Reactor has that I wish wasn't there. And I'm afraid perhaps also this guy right here, the power play, may have the same issue. And as I address this one, I think you'll understand what it is. So when we pop that bit in right here into that magnetic spot right there to be sandwiched together by the butt end of those pliers and to do the driving that we need to do, and here's where I'm going to start rolling in some footage. What I was actually doing was fixing a stove. Now that knob, actually, the circuitry behind it actually acted as a fuse, so I had to replace that whole box in order to get the knob working again. And I used this tool exclusively to get that work done. Now, in taking that plate off, the back plate, and taking all the screws out that I needed to take out in order to open all that up, I noticed a couple of things. One, it would be nice if there was some way to extend this out a little further so that I could get past certain obstacles. When you're this close to whatever it is you're driving, you can't really have any obstacles next to the driver. Otherwise, you're turning it like 20 degrees and then pulling it back and then turning it 20 degrees and pulling it. It's painstaking. But that's not even that big of a deal because it's exclusive to certain problems or certain things you're fixing. What is a big deal is this. If you stop gripping this tool really hard, and I mean this way, side to side, okay, in order to pinch that bit in place. If you stop gripping it that way and just kind of hold it a little loosely, pushing it in, here's what happens, especially when you're putting a lot of torque on that. As you do that, this plier head opens up ever so slightly and that bit turns freely. That bit will turn freely if you don't hold on to this for dear life. And I mean really hard. You got to squeeze and hold on to that really tight in order to get that bit to stay locked in. That is a big design flaw in my opinion. Here's a big miss, a big chance they had to make this tool perfect, as well as perhaps this guy right here, the power play. I haven't done the same work with the power play yet, so I'm not sure. But what they needed to do, and what I hope they will do on Rev 2 of the reactor, is create some kind of a latch. Some kind of a latch between this arm and this area right here. If you can do that, and it has to be pretty tight, if you can do that, you will save the user the stress of having to squeeze this really tight while they're also maybe pushing in really tight and putting a lot of torque on this tool. Maybe they shouldn't put a lot of torque on this tool. Maybe they should only use this for light jobs. Well, you know, whatever the job is what the job is, and you might have to put a lot of torque on that. So I would love to see a latch right here in this area that holds these together, kind of like the Leatherman Signal does. Look at this. That little latch right there holds the whole thing together. It doesn't flop open. If you had something super simple like that incorporated into the reactor somehow, win, 100% win. I would love it if they could incorporate that. Once again, that would have to be a Rev 2, some re-engineering of the tool, but I'd love to see that done. Short of that, it's a $50 tool, roughly $50 tool. I'll leave a link down in the description where you can buy it for the best price I've found. It's a good looking tool. I think it's pretty cool looking. The black and silver contrast is really attractive. The quick action on that knife, once again, is it down? Yeah, it's down for open. The fast spring assisted opening is really cool. It did not come super sharp, I gotta admit that. I did sharpen it up though, and it sharpened very nicely, hair shaving sharp. So doesn't take much work. What else about it? You know, I think it's a cool tool overall. The deep carry pocket clip is really nice. It's going to be a great EDC for that reason. If you're doing relatively light work or you expect light work from this tool, it's going to be perfectly fine. I guess you could also say that it would compare pretty favorably against the Juice series, also from Leatherman. These run around $60, depending on where you're shopping for them. And they have a lot more tools, but they operate differently, obviously. So you can compare it against a few other ones, probably maybe the Gerber Crucial. I don't have one of those to show, but I know that tool, and I know of it, and I know it's a pretty popular one. I think that the SOG Reactor's got a lot of potential in its current state. Again, it's pretty cool. Do I recommend it over this one? That's kind of hard to do. In fact, if it were me and I had the choice, I'd probably just say get that one. Yeah, I probably would. I know SOG hates to hear that. I'm sorry, guys. I love you guys. I love what you're doing. I love the work you're doing. But this is the constructive criticism I have for you. Fix that little bit right there. Little bit of QA, and you've got a winner of a tool. All right, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Once again, keeping it as real as I possibly can. I'm a late Boy Scout. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, this is the year of the multi-tool for us, so I'm going to dive right in real quick. So, first one here, we introduced this last year, so it's probably familiar to most everybody. Yeah. It's the switch plier. I just want to bring it up. It's a really badass tool. Switch plier, because you push the button, works just like a switchblade. Pliers pop out of there.